There. That fixes the sound issue. Dude, it's always fucking something with this platform. Oh, you know what it did?
What?
I went live on the wrong channel.
What channel are we live on right now?
Hang on. I have to get the shareable link. The one that I'd scheduled didn't go.
Excuse me.
Well, it's always something, and it's usually me. I'm usually the something. All right. How's everybody's weekend? Was the weekend good? Did you guys have a good weekend? That's the real question.
That's a real question.
I'm going to start the poll again. You guys can re-answer it because I want to know your answer before we get into things. I now feel super unprepared. All right. There's the poll.
Oh,
Back up.
started a garden outside and putting plants in? Hell yeah. I've been looking at our backyard to see how I can start planting things. I want to get planters to plant fruits and vegetables.
I'm going to go and delete the other live. This is reading as Wednesday's live streams. That's so funny.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
You guys are just going to have to bear with me. Peaches can keep you entertained while I alter some stuff.
Oh, man. Entertained about what? I finally figured out a schedule for my life, guys.
With your tissue ghosts?
Yeah.
Nose ghosts?
I know. Little boogies. Get it? Boogies.
Oh, I get it.
I think I'm so funny.
All right. So tonight's question for the poll is, do you believe that most people do not like or love themselves?
Do I think most people?
Yep.
Most people do not like or love themselves?
Yep. For those of you in Twitch, same question. Do you guys believe that most people either do not like or do not love themselves? I can agree. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I say most people like themselves but do not love themselves. I think that's probably a very accurate statement and probably more along the lines where I live, or I agree. For those of you on Twitch who are asking about YouTube not working, I didn't link it properly. It's on there. It's working. If you go to it's up there. The original link did not work. I deleted it and created a new one. It's all live.
Am I crazy? Did you guys see that black dot on my face?
I did not see a black dot on your face beyond what you normally do, but I don't know if you did that today.
I did not.
Is the chat not working over here on YouTube? I'm not seeing the YouTube move. Somebody send a chat on YouTube so that I can make sure that YouTube is doing what it's supposed to be doing, please.
Nakai said I do not on YouTube just now, so.
It's not coming through. I don't understand. Oh, there it goes. I had to click off the poll. So stupid. Hey, giggity. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, so before we get into email readings, I have some things that I want to actually get into, and the premise of the poll is kind of the conversation that I wanted to lead into. We also have topics that we need to discuss tonight. Do you want to like bullshit for a little bit while people answer the poll, or do you want to just jump into the things? Because we have life stuff to talk about.
We can just jump into discussion and then we can get into life things when more people show up.
Okay. So I believe that for the most part, people simply don't love themselves anymore, right? And I would say that for a large majority, people just don't even like themselves, whether it's their appearance, their personality type, their teeth, whatever, right? It's always something that we don't like about ourselves. And because we have all of these flaws and because of society's beauty standards of what is or is not attractive, we have learned to not love ourselves. With that being said, I'm gonna read go over a couple things, and then I want to ask you a question. I'm gonna ask the chat too, so you guys be prepared for this because this is going to be something.
Okay.
I believe that people often allow their past to dictate their now, right? Like their behavior today, everything is dependent on the shit that we've been through.
Okay.
They allow it to excuse their current behavior, and they live in that I'm fucked up because, or I will never be enough because, or if I only had whatever, right? And when people live like that, their life progressively gets worse, right? Because there's always an excuse. There's always someone else's something that someone did to me. Like that's a thing. They lean harder into the reasons why they can't or why they haven't or why people have always. And that becomes almost a label, right? It allows them to take a backseat to their lives and really never get to the point of taking the wheel and steering their fucking life themselves. I think that this removes all accountability because they become so resentful of the past and they're using that past to affirm who they are now. Does that make sense?
Say
are you
it
tracking?
for me one more time. Yeah. Say that.
The accountability is removed because they are resentful.
Okay, pause. So the accountability meaning
Their
what they're using
accountability.
for excuses.
Well, their accountability, yes,
Right.
for
They're
their
using their
life
excuses.
is removed.
Okay.
Because they're resentful of the past, and they are using their past to affirm who they are today and every day moving forward until something becomes a catalyst for them to change. Is where I was going with that.
Okay.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. I made notes because this has been something I've been thinking about for a couple of days now. So for people who have had a very shitty past, do you think that if they learn to love themselves now, that they would change their perception of the past? There's my question for everyone in the chat and for you, babe. If you learned to love yourself, do you think that you would be able to let go or change the perception of your past?
Yes.
Why?
Because I've learned to love myself and I've recognized that to experience the human experience is to understand that everyone is fighting demons. And even though there are some things that are just absolutely inexcusable, like child neglect, I can understand the mental illness behind it.
Okay. So if you were neglected as a child and you're 30 years old now, you're no longer a child.
Right.
Living your life based off of that experience
Yeah.
is not serving you as an adult.
Right. Learning to love myself as an adult heals that inner child.
Right. Okay. So the greatest peace that I have found in my entire life is accepting that my past happened. Not being, I wish this would have, or if only somebody, or whatever. Everything that horrible that I've ever gone through, I did go through, and it happened. But it made me who I am. Metal gets stronger by being forged, right? It takes time to work and harden and be, you know what I mean? And then sharpen and become what it needs to become to be a weapon if that's what it's going to be. So if your answer to that is yes, and you believe that, I think the reason for that is that they would no longer have the need to use the past or even past traumas and labels to mask their behavior. They would no longer need to use it to define who they are, because that's very common for people who have like borderline or bipolar or ADHD, or if they're LGBTQ+, or whatever it is that they identify as, Democrat, Republican. Everybody has their labels, and they dictate who they are based off of the labels they assign themselves. And if you had childhood trauma and you identify yourself as a victim who has always been taken advantage of, people have always done dirty, you got a poor education, your parents abused you, and that's who you are when you're 50, you've wasted 30 years of your life that you could be making change to become a victor instead of living as a victim. Okay. I believe that they would simply be able to say, yes, that happened. Right? Or they can say, like I just did, and be like, I've been through a lot and I'm good with it, because that's where I am. right? I have that peace in knowing that though my past was horrible, right now is not, because I'm happy with my life. Like it's been a long time since I've wanted to control alt delete. You know what I mean? So like looking back on all the horrible things, I realized that all of that had to happen. I had to walk through those fires to get to where I am. And sometimes when you're going through like really rough terrain, it makes like the goal line a whole lot fucking better, especially when you look back and see people quitting. You know, you're like, yo, you fucking quitter.
Yeah.
If you'd have just pushed on for another 5 feet, life would have changed for you. You'd have been able to see this view or whatever it is. Now, I believe that people can fall mostly into one of two categories. And those categories are, they did this to me, right? They're blaming others. Or pity me. Victim mentality. I can't believe that they did this to me. If only somebody would have helped me out. If only somebody would have given me $1 million. If only my parents would have hugged me more, right? Those two categories makes up about 90% of the world's population. However, there is a third category. And that third category, which is a whole lot less explored, is what we talk about most on the podcast, is how does that serve you? What are you going to do about it, right? So it happened, and what are you going to do now? So if you're 30 and something happened when you were 12 years old, you've had 18 years to get your fucking life together, and you're still holding on to these things, the people doing you dirty, the child abuse, getting kicked out of school because you're a fuck up child, whatever the case may be, what are you going to do about it now? Because you haven't done anything up until this point. I believe that the first step is starting to recognize that it is okay to love yourself. All of you need to look a certain way. You need to behave a certain way. You need to follow certain politics. You need to fit in with the crowd. Sheep mentality nonsense is making us go against who we are as individuals. I will never be good enough. I'm not going to be pretty enough. I'm not going to ever look like the fucking Calvin Klein models. I'm never going to look like Victoria's Secret models. That's just not my body type, and it's okay.
That was a really hard one for me to accept.
It's hard for everyone. It was hard for me too. I'm still insecure about myself. I have, the body dysmorphia is a thing. And I understand that, and that's not an excuse. I could really fucking do the work to get there. But when I got to like a manageable weight, I am for the most part okay with my appearance. Yeah. Like I have a beautiful woman who fawns over me with my shirt off. Like that's a fucking win. That's a victory. I need to take that victory and just accept that this is my life. And if I want to look like a Calvin Klein model, it's going to take a whole lot of fucking work. And those people that look like those models are doing the work to get to where they are. It's not like they just have perfect fucking genetics.
Right.
Nobody has perfect genetics. Even IFBB pro bodybuilders don't have perfect genetics. They may have a leg up over other people, but it's still a whole lot of fucking work to get there. And most people don't have the time, discipline, or want to go through that kind of hell to get to where they're going. But that speaks on goals, and it's a whole different thing. I really am going down this whole we are sick and depressed and broken because we're not getting over the things that have happened to us. And I understand that using the term getting over is insensitive to some people.
Right.
But if it happened 20 years ago, what are you doing with your life? Like, how have you not healed from that yet? You're making a choice to wear that label, I'm broken, instead of going, I'm healing. I would much rather wear a shirt that says I'm fucking healing than I'm damaged goods.
Yeah.
It's a long fucking journey to get here, but I'm almost there, damn it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. The idea of sitting stagnant and just giving up and quitting doesn't do it for me. So
I agree with that.
Libby Ann sent a super chat that said, I suggest anyone questioning love watch Daniel Sloss's puzzle piece comedy show. It's an eye-opening and life-changing. Learn to love yourself first. Oh, hey, you can like these things now. Oh, maybe not. Weird. It says like on there, but it won't let me click to like it. Lame. Danish said, I'm learning to love myself, my body, and my brain.
Yeah.
Nakai said, I have been stagnant and I'm going to do better. I feel like people also forget growth isn't linear and feel defeated after one setback. That's because they believe that they failed at that setback.
Yeah.
You fail when you quit, right? Like if you are making 10% progress every day and one day you make 0 and the next day you make 10 again, there's an average there. You're not making 10% every day. You're making like 9.35 or some shit. You know what I mean? And it just because you missed that one day doesn't mean that the world is over. It means that you missed a little bit. And the goal is to be a little bit better every fucking day. Like 1% every day is better than you were. And then that can come from having a meaningful conversation with your person. That one conversation could be that 1% today. Like, hey, we haven't been on the same page. What can I do to serve you better as your husband, right? Like, and you tell me, and okay, I'm making mental note. I'm gonna write it on my fucking hand. Tomorrow I need to tell her she's beautiful when she wakes up in the morning. Stank breath, hair in a mess, fucking bun, hair tied in that rat's nest. Damn, girl, you look good. She smiles, you feel good, she feels love meter full. That's 1% better than yesterday. Kids having a hard time at school, and instead of getting mad that they can't figure out the homework, you sit down and try to understand it with them and give it to them in a way that their teachers are failing to do so. You're making your kid 1% better. You have a new understanding, and you have ingrained a new understanding of a relationship with your fucking child. Sometimes that is your 1%. There are going to be days that you're going to have 50, 60, 70% days. You got a new fucking raise. I just closed on a house. I bought my first brand new car ever. Those are fucking huge wins, and they should be celebrated. But celebrate those huge wins just as much as you would celebrate a small win. Those connections and creating new relationships with your family and fucking bonding are the real victories there. The material items are not. The raises are cool because it allows you to fund your life a little bit more. Money is always nice to have. It definitely relieves a lot of stress, but with money comes new stresses.
Right.
So you need to work on the relationships and learning to, how can you really love somebody else and be willing to go above and beyond and do everything for them if you're neglecting who you are at your core? And I believe that. And I believe that if you're living in the past trauma that you've experienced, you are living at a less than in your core. You're not giving your person your best. When you have a borderline blow up, we've both done it, and we get ugly towards each other. We're not giving us our best. We are setting ourselves back in our relationships, and it's a choice. Because you know when you're going through a borderline episode that you can go, I'm going through a fucking episode right now and I need a minute. Instead of making a decision to go, well, I have borderline, so fuck you. Because that doesn't solve anything.
Right.
So that's where I was at today.
We've never done that, by the way.
The fuck you thing?
Yeah.
No, not seriously, no. Danish said, for me, Chris, I lived for everyone else because I thought everyone else was worthy, more worthy than I at living. That's really horrible to read, and I'm glad that you don't feel that way anymore. Kelsey Smith said, powerlifting was the best thing I ever did in my self-love journey. Physical strength can be a direct link to mental and emotional strength. Powerlifting has always been in my life, so I get that. My spine, because I have a disc degenerative disease, my spine is the only reason why I don't powerlift anymore. I would still be in there fucking trying to kill myself every day because that was the happiest I'm ever at, is when I'm setting new PRs. Like that's so. All right. So then let me ask you guys this. What does success look like to you? Because success is not something that can be measured across the board for everyone.
Right.
Everyone is going to have a different idea of what success is. So have you guys ever asked that question? Like, have you ever asked yourselves that question? Have you ever really sat down and thought about what it means to be successful in your life? Success is waking up in the morning. I mean, that's a fucking win. Success looks like being at peace. Success as a homeowner, having true happiness. Okay, but what is true happiness? Have you asked yourself that? What is going to actually make you happy? Because happiness is a fleeting emotion. Happiness is something that you feel in the moment. So, your husband buys you flowers and it makes you happy.
Right.
That's temporary. So what is happiness? Ashley said the courage to be happy. Success is being proud of yourself without anyone else cheering for you. That's personal strength. I love that. Having my bills paid off, meaning in house. Success is, oh God, it's moving quick. Being able to be comfortable, not having to work so much overtime. Damn it. Work so much overtime that I don't see my children, seeing my kids, spending time with my family, having any kind of balance along with a stable house. So you don't get both. You can't have a very super successful life in terms of work and have a successful household as well. It doesn't work that way. You can't give 100% to everything in your life. You have to pick one. So that comes down to traditional values, in my opinion. Because if the man can give 100% to his career and what little bit of leftover, or 90% to his career and what little bit left over when he comes home, and a mother can give the time that she needs to her house and children, that works as a balance, right? That speaks on teamwork. And that, I mean, obviously that's not for everyone. There are people out there who don't want the traditional values, but I think that there should be one person kind of running the family and one person running the world, the finances, to strive in that aspect. Zach said, success is the intersection of sustainability and maximum fulfillment in the moment. Being able to do what I do, being able to do what I'm doing for an extended period of time and feeling content with what I am doing. Well, that speaks on happiness though, because it's fleeting. What happens when you're no longer able to do that? Does that mean you're no longer successful? Or does that just mean that your happiness has moved on to something else? Ashley Holden said, you know where I'm getting these from, Chris? I honestly don't know because I must have missed something. The courage to be disliked at the expense of your happiness. I mean, that's a tough one. Death's Clan said, I'm still trying to figure that out because since you asked and challenged my meaning of happiness, I'm wandering around like a blind man trying to find it again. Darth Cinderin said, success for me at this point is raising respectable young women and getting to the point in my career that I'm financially secure. Success is breaking generational curses. This is beauty. This is amazing that everybody in here has a different level. And you know what that means? That means that all of us have lived life experiences, and what makes us believe like the end game comes from where others have failed. Right? So like the owning the house, paying the bills off, making sure the young ladies become great women. Like all of those can speak to where others have failed us while we are coming up or getting somewhere that nobody else in our family or the people around us have aspired to be.
Right.
Yep. Zach said, not happiness, content. If my feeling of contentment, fulfillment is a moving target, then of course I have to adjust. Nothing is set in stone. I agree with that. Sabrina said, success for me is to be able to look back and see how far my man and I have come in life. And in everything else we have, what we have now is beautiful. So she puts her success in the growth of family, right? And like having that secure foundation, which is, I think, super fucking dope too. Success is fulfillment. Heather said something and I missed it. Oh, success is looking at the yesterdays of today and seeing the journey I have traveled and realizing, although I may feel stagnant, I would not have the opportunities I have waiting for me tomorrow if I was not advancing in a way to propel me to achieve something greater than today. So then I'll take that even further and say that your success is going to be dependent on the meaning of the things that you assign to your past. To the meaning that you assign to the things of your past. So for me, overcoming child abuse and being a normal functioning person, I can look back at my child abuse and not have that, my parents fucking did me dirty mindset. I had to go through that to be the strong man that I am and to not, abuse my children, right? Like yeah. Success is being able to give my kids everything I wasn't giving, breaking generational curses included with my person and being at peace. Just being a better wife, mother, person than I was yesterday. Success for me is to improve my mental health enough that it doesn't have control over or ruin my life. Kalista, that is a fucking choice. It is a choice. Mm-hmm. That is you taking off the "Hi, my name is" label and fucking making an active decision to do more than you did yesterday. You fucking got this, girl. It is not hard. I mean, it is. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever do because you have to unlearn all the bullshit and learn new behavioral traits and new coping mechanisms but you'll get there. Success is being further ahead than I was 5 years ago. That's definitely growth. I heard someone say that happiness is based on your happenings, but joy comes from your mindset. I actually heard that too. They say that you should aspire to have joyfulness in your life and not happiness. Heather said, I stopped putting meaning on moments that I have no control of and cannot change and thus has no place in my current life. That is my current journey. I keep going back to the AA meeting, the AA prayer.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey guys, Peaches, are you okay? Lovely. You look tired.
Yeah, I'm just listening to the conversation.
All right, let's talk about Thailand trip. I think that me going on a tangent destroyed most of our listeners as we dropped well below 300 while I was running my mouth.
I think your tangent was good. No.
I mean, I felt like it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was productive.
So what was that self-deprivation right there?
Because of metrics. I was really hoping that we would have a bigger live tonight because the early slots for Thailand are almost sold out.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping that, I got to be honest, I was really hoping that they would have sold out by now. But I think there's 2 or 3 slots left at the early bird special. Mm-hmm. So. We asked some of the people what they were looking forward to most and out of the trip. And some of the people in that Discord said that they're checking off travel goals because Thailand has always been somewhere they want to go, and being able to actually go with us and spend that time is super dope. Somebody else said that they're getting over their fear of traveling abroad alone by going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How exciting.
I don't know what else to talk about. I really wanted to get into Thailand. Have you guys actually looked into that trip yet? For those of you who are interested in traveling with us, that early bird slot is going to go. And if anybody has any questions about Thailand, now would be a great time to ask them. We also have another meet and greet coming up in May in Florida, and we have one now scheduled in June for Vegas.
Yep.
Where in Thailand is going to be your first stops? So we're actually going to be we have a guide, a local there that speaks English and the language there and knows of all the spots, and every day is planned. I think that there's not really a whole lot that's going to be off itinerary because we're going to be doing everything as a group. The thing that I am looking forward to most is the Buddhist temple. I am so fucking stoked for that, and the beach that the beach was filmed on.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that camera.
Are you?
Yep. I've been like dwelling on it, and like I keep going back and forth from like, I don't need it. I have a really good camera. Why would I buy another camera? And then I keep going to, well, we're going to start doing these seminars and we're going to be traveling the world. Like why not buy the fucking camera? But Barry Bad said, I'd love to hear about the May meet and greet. I'm in Fort Myers until the end of May, and that would be a great experience. Unfortunately, the Florida meet and greet is, the one in May is through Patreon only. You have to be a Patreon subscriber to be able to go to that. But that is in Sarasota. The location will be posted. It's been posted to our Patreon. But we are going to probably spend 5 or 6 hours at a place. I don't want to give away like
What, in Thailand?
No, in Sarasota.
Oh, in Sarasota.
Yeah, Thailand will be 7 days with us. Like other than sleeping, we're gonna be kind of with everyone the entire time that we're there because everything is done as a group unless people decide not to go do things. But the Florida meet and greet should be fun. It'll be an outside event. The place that we're going to has food, activities, and alcohol for those who choose to drink. But that should be fun. Let's see. What are your thoughts on living together before marriage from a person with a faith standpoint? That depends on how deep your faith is, because I believe you can live with somebody and not sleep with them. You can live with somebody and act as roommates if that's what needs to happen. I personally believe well, first I know that statistics say that people who don't live together before marriage have happier marriages. They don't get divorced as high as a rate. However, I think that it's important to understand people at their core, and when you live with them, you do. So regardless of what the statistics say, I still have my belief system. I would rather know somebody's quirks and know whether or not this is going to work with us living together kind of thing, because it doesn't work for everybody. You look at what Kenya and Scott, you know, very bad. Why are you in Fort Myers until the end of May? Ty said, I wish I could afford it, but just a young 20-year-old guy with a large mortgage. Hey, at least you have a mortgage at 20 and not a fucking rent payment, dude. You're ahead.
Yeah.
Please do a Niagara Falls meet and greet. Maybe the Canada side at some point, because I would like to take pictures of Niagara Falls. Kristen said, come to Kentucky. We plan on doing a bourbon trail at some point there. Elephant rides, go check out some zoos. Howling monkeys are amazing. Oh, and tuk-tuks. We are doing an elephant sanctuary. I don't know if we will be able to ride said elephants, but we will definitely be able to touch them and interact with them, which I think is super cool. Rob, if you just joined and you are in the Patreon, just go into the ball pit and ask for the Florida meet and greet, because there's a separate chat for that, so they can put you into that, and we can interact with you and talk to you and shit. I'm excited for Vegas. We couldn't make it last time you were here. So Vegas, we haven't hashed all of Vegas out yet. We are trying to get a conference room at a convention place, like at the hotels we're staying at. And everyone that we've contacted have said that they are not, they do not have anything available at this time. So we found a house that will let us rent it for the day, but it's like $1,000.
Yeah.
So we are probably going to sell tickets for the meet and greet in Vegas. I don't know how that's going to happen yet, but that'll get announced soon. But I think we would do like $50 just to get the ticket to be able to go, and then that would cover the cost of the thing if we had it at 25 people.
Okay.
So if we capped it at 25 people and did it at $50 a person, that covers the cost of the house for the day.
Okay.
And if we do it for 8 hours for that day, we can record a podcast there and do the meet and greet. And I think that would be pretty cool. So
That would be dope.
yeah. Let's see. I'm excited for you guys to travel to Utah. I would like to go to Utah. I want to do Moab, but I want to do it in like an off-road vehicle. I don't want to just ride it on bikes. I want to fucking take a Jeep up a hill. You know what I mean? Like,
That's terrifying to me.
Watching that shit on YouTube stresses me the fuck out.
Oh my
when they're driving
gosh.
uphill and all you see is clouds going by and like you can't see the ground at all. I'm like, how the fuck do they know where they're going?
How do they?
Pure panic. Fucking anxiety watching other people on the television do that shit.
Would we be having someone experienced driving this?
Yeah, me.
You just said pure panic watching it.
I would be terrified. I would do it though. Worst thing gonna happen is a roll of fucking Jeep. It's got roll bars.
And kill me.
No, we just roll. People roll their Jeeps all the time and survive. They've got.
We went over a
in 'em.
speed bump and I became a projectile in the car.
Yeah, well, you weren't prepared, and we were in a Ford Expedition. Live podcast recording. I don't know if we'd go live from there. I probably recorded an episode. The place that we're looking at looks like a 1970s like fucking mansion. There's
dig it.
a fire pit that's got like chairs around the inside of the floor that you have to step down into, and it's got a pool, and you can find it on Pier Finder. I'm not giving you guys any more information than that, but that's if you would like to see some of the cool shit that's there. If you find it, you find it. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I have exams tomorrow, so bye. Okay, bye.
Good luck on your exams.
LOL, Alaska. Mike Poppin, thanks. Will you be able to vlog the trip? Yes. Yeah, I don't know how much of it's going to get posted to YouTube though for Thailand. I think that depending on how many people were able to actually go to Thailand, I may try to get a videographer to come with us. It just means that we have to pay for it so that we can actually have somebody recording behind the scenes stuff, because we're doing seminars while we're there. We will be doing like sit down coaching with you guys. We have 2 things that we're scheduled to talk about, but I think that those scheduled talks will probably diverge into coaching because we'll be there with people. And like, that's kind of how things always turn out with us.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the vlogging aspect of things will look yet. Do you think you guys would ever come to Washington? I don't know. How much is Thailand for a couple? If you do the early bird special, it's $2,000 a person for the 7 days that you're there. You still have to buy your tickets to fly there. Some food is included, but all of the excursions and shit is included with the $2,000 price. It's
minus the speedboat tour to the beach.
right. That's the optional thing. So for two people, it'd be $4,000, and then whatever your flights are. And flights vary. We found them as cheap as $700 and as much as like $2,000 per person, unless you're going first class. But it also depends on where you fly from. We had people look into flights from California. It was under $1,000. People flying from the UK, it's even cheaper because
the distance.
Right. So I'll be back in Tennessee in June. If y'all are ever going to do something that's there, that'd be amazing. Well, we do Tennessee regularly. I believe they have places that you can rent Jeeps to do that. See, there you go. Somebody already answered me. All right, I'm just gonna scroll to the bottom because I was way up there on the chat. Would y'all be open to doing a seminar in Hawaii? I remember Chris saying in one of the first episodes in season 1 that he's visited Oahu, which is where I live. We do want to go to Hawaii. I would like to go to Kauai. But I don't know if that would be a seminar thing or like a legit vacation. And with Hawaiian culture, Polynesian culture, I think it would be kind of cool to take the kids out there to be able to see the Polynesian Cultural Center, but they're not there yet. So
that would definitely have to wait a bit.
Spring Allison said $2,400 for a flight from Texas. That's a lot. That's still cheaper flying from Texas and spending a week in Thailand than just the flight to Bali.
Yeah.
Yep. Are you still tattooing? No, we're not. Still own shops. I'm just, I'm done with all of that. His kitten asked where you get your glasses chains.
Homestead Sass on Etsy.
Babe, how do you handle disassociating when needing to be present for the children, like during playtime? My daughter is 9 months and I struggle with it a lot.
I read somewhere that 95% of the time you spend with your child is in their childhood. And 75% of that time is when they're under the age of 12.
So get it in while you can.
Get it in while you
be able
can.
to reclaim that time.
Yeah.
Your child's 9 months. Like,
if you were to disassociate, now would be the time to do it, if I'm being honest.
right. When they're 3 and 4 years old, they're going to notice if you're checking out mentally while you're there.
Right. I would start working on it. I mean, clearly you're starting to work on it now. 9 months is still fairly young. You have an infant. I would take breaks. I would feel the emotions that I'm feeling without the guilt. Because as your child gets older, those feelings are going to intensify. And if you don't learn how to cope with them now, they're going to become a massive struggle and obstacle in the future. A big thing for me was remembering that I'm still a human being outside of being a mother. My self-care is important. I take care of my plants. I'm getting into the routine of getting up every morning and watering them at 9 a.m. What?
Naked. I fucking walked out of the house yesterday morning. I'm like, or the day before, I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, watering my plants?
Good thing we don't have neighbors.
Yeah, we live in the woods.
Yep. That was after the kids went to school. Yeah.
I'm going for the Toxic Angel. Give me a minute. I will post the link to the Thailand trip in to Twitch. Shyla said, would you guys ever turn the podcast into a talk show, like television talk show, if it were to be an opportunity? Yes. Unequivocally, yes, because we would have a much larger team. We would have more exposure than we've ever had. Obviously, there would come with bigger pay.
Yeah.
There'd be
More resources.
on-site security, a lot more resources. We'd be able to like get other organizations to work with us so that if people really truly needed more than we could give, we could pass them off to where they needed to go. I think that whole situation would be fucking gangster.
It would be.
All right. There's the Thailand trip. I don't know, Lorna, I don't know if you can pin that in Twitch or not, but Dakota said we can rent razors and ride trails around Pigeon Forge, Smoky Mountains. That's where we actually did the side-by-side rides, was up there. Cheyenne asked if we'd ever come to Queensland, Australia. We actually looked at Australia. we looked at 1 week in Australia for the two of us just to get there with a single hotel for two people was like $13,000. And that was it. Like that wasn't car rental. That was just the travel and the stay was 13 grand.
That's wild.
Yeah. I want to say it was closer to 18 after car rental, food expenses. We'd be 20 grand to go 7 days in Australia. And at that point, what are you really seeing?
Yeah.
Australians is almost as big as America. You're going to see a couple of cities and then come back. Like you need time to go see that country. It would be like a 3-week thing.
Yeah.
Alex said, you have to ground yourself emotionally to the situation. I have a dissociative disorder. I can say for myself, I lost myself in becoming a mom. I forgot who I am as a person too. That's so fucking common. You get to the point where, for those of you who actually watched the first garden episode or second garden episode, the one where you did with Kenya, that was the second episode, right?
Oh, I don't recall.
Whatever the first time you interviewed with Kenya, you guys talked about how hard it is for moms who still have their identity to sit down with moms who have lost it because all they talk about is their kids and their husband and their dogs. And what Kenya's like, is that all you have to offer as a person is that you're a mom? Like,
Yeah.
it's cool to be a mom. There's an honor badge in that, especially if you're a good mom, but like you still need to be a person first.
Right.
Because that empty nest syndrome is going to be really fucking hard for those people who identify their entire existence around their being a mother.
Yeah.
Would you ever do an amusement meet and greet? Probably not, because I can't do roller coasters. I can do roller coasters. They're fun as shit, but I want to fucking die when I get off of them because the motion sickness is so bad.
Yeah. Shikra was my first roller coaster. I was like 9.
Mine was the Kumba.
The Kumba. Okay.
I think that was the name of it. That's at Busch Gardens, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or it was.
I went on the thing like 13, 14 times in a row because we had skip the line passes and the person that was with us had a broken ankle.
Oh, hell
So not
yeah.
only do we get to skip the line, but like we got right to the handicap line and just kept
Yeah.
riding. I was great then. And then like 10 years later, I got on the fucking Hulk at Universal and that initial shot and I was like, woo. And I got off the thing. I'm like, sweating profusely, stomach in knots, pain. Like it was horrible.
That sounds awful.
Sarah Swift, do you have any advice for someone doing their first professional interview, especially with a lot of anxiety? I have all kinds of... I will let you answer that, though.
Okay, you go first.
I just said I was going to let you answer that. Don't try to pass it
Well,
off
I need
to
to
me.
think about it.
Brush your hair, brush your fucking teeth, and look the part.
Yeah.
As somebody who's owned almost... Well, I mean, not almost. I've had 18 businesses at this point. Every single time I've tried to interview somebody, if they've come in and they've had body odor or they look unkempt, they don't look presentable, I don't give a fuck what their resume is. I'm not hiring them.
Yeah.
I will, that first 30 seconds of eye contact and getting to like judge you as a person, I'm judging the fuck out of you. So that's number one. Be articulate, smile, shake their hand, make eye contact. Treat them like they're your friend, not your boss. They are potentially going to be your boss, but these people are in a position of power and most of them are sick of people trying to kiss their ass to get something. Be your authentic self. That shit goes a long fucking way, but do it from a position of like I'm presentable. That talk to them the way that you would want to be talked to goes a long fucking way. You can ask Death Clan.
Yeah.
That was a big part of the first interaction that I ever had with them.
I would recommend playing to your strengths. I nailed almost every interview I took because I was able to make my interviewer laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a good bubbly personality.
Yeah. So play to your strengths.
Yeah. A strong handshake, even as a woman, hell, especially as a woman, a firm handshake with eye contact. I cannot begin to tell you guys how fucking important the handshake is to a man. I don't know how on a woman's side of things, it's not something I can really speak on, but I have like distanced myself from people solely based on their handshake. They could be really dope motherfuckers, but because they shake my hand with a limp dick handshake, I won't fuck with them.
Yeah.
I just see them as a pussy. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Handshakes aren't important to me. I mean, from a man, it is. If I shake a dude's hand and it's limp dick, I kind of judge him a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm also a lady, so I very much expect like a
Yeah. Well, that's how I would shake
hello
your hand.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, if I'm meeting like somebody I'll do like the thing, but otherwise, don't touch me. Hello.
It's funny. Get them to talk about themselves. That helps too, because then you can find ways to relate to them. The problem with that though is when people do that, they usually end up trying to be fake because they try to make situations to relate if they can't, and that's detrimental too. Holly said, and don't cuss, had somebody come in and drop the F-bomb. Yeah, it's rough. Do you expect a woman to shake hands? I don't expect anybody to shake hands. I gotta be honest, I'm not a handshaker. Like I have to feel like there's got to be some sort of mutual respect there. Like with meet and greets, I'm shaking everyone's hand because I respect the fact that these people just came out to like chill with us and shit. That's huge.
Yeah.
But if somebody's like, hey, this is my friend, I'm like, what's up? Not touching you, bro. You may not wash your hands after it slipped through the toilet paper. Good on that. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Don't talk bad about past employers. That's a fucking huge one.
Oh yeah. When they ask you, so why did you leave your previous job? I would always hit them with, there was no longer opportunity for growth for me.
Yep.
I wanted to expand myself beyond what that company was capable of.
The amount of times I've been interviewed by a man and they hired me because I'm an attractive woman they'd like to take advantage of is crazy. I turned down the job. That shit isn't for me. So I don't want to say that I don't believe you, because that might really truly be your perspective. But do you believe that every man that you've ever been interviewed by just wants to like sleep with you? And if that's the case, I would just start my own business and get out of the workforce. I'm so glad I'm not a woman. If they have a website, read up on their core values. You should do that anyways. If you can ask your employer what the company's core values are and what their non-negotiables are, that should dictate whether or not you work there.
Yeah.
If I'm going to work for somebody, I need to make sure that company aligns with my belief system. I'm not going to go work for somebody whose belief system I don't agree with, because I'm not going to sell my soul to get a job. Logan Harmon said, hey, Chris and Peaches, won't be interacting much as I'm driving and listening, but wanted to drop by and say thanks for all you do. Well, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for listening.
The ongoing support. Are we doing emails tonight? I mean, we can. We got an hour and 15 minutes before we wrap this up.
A lot of men don't care what you look like. They'll take advantage of a woman if they think they can get away with it. I've listened to a lot of true crime and a lot of interviewers and a lot of interviews done with men who target women. And a vast majority of them say that they look for the weakest one. It's not really based on appearance and if they find them attractive, dope. But it's more about just getting whatever need satisfied in the moment, and that's why they commit the crime.
Right. You realize, though, that that's not just men doing sex crimes.
Right.
That's anyone looking to take advantage of anyone.
Yeah. Well, that was the topic.
No,
so.
I know that. They'll take advantage of a woman if they think they can get away with it. People who think they can get away with taking advantage of anyone is going to do it, if they think they can get away with it. That's not a man thing. That's an everyone thing. People are scumbags. The idea of... Anyways, I'm not going to go down that hole. I really don't like the men are the problem, women are the problem conversations. When it comes down to it, humanity are scum.
Right.
And we all do the exact same shit. So... I actually would like to read an email, because I feel like we're just having interview conversations at this point.
Okay. Do you want to do a series of unfortunate events?
Sure.
Well, I have one pulled up. This is titled Struggling to Find Middle Ground.
Okay.
Hi there. I believe my boyfriend and I of 2 years need a bit of a guidance. For starters, I live with my boyfriend and his brother's family.
Why?
Yeah. It's come to my attention that we're struggling to find a middle ground. He tells me that I am controlling. Basically, I try to guide him to not do certain habits that he was usually accustomed to prior to us dating.
That's a nice way of saying I'm controlling.
Right? That is, yeah. I feel those habits hold our relationship back. Yeah, trying to guide him.
He says I'm controlling, but I'm just trying to get him to do what I think he should do.
Yeah. You ready for the things listed?
Sure.
Video games. The games are an issue to me because he will play for hours on end and sometimes even into the night when I'm ready for bed. He plays in our bedroom. Are you just listening?
I am.
Okay.
Are you waiting for me to you want me to respond?
I thought you were getting ready to because you looked over at me like you had something to say. So if you don't, I can just keep going. Okay.
Okay.
So does that keep going? Okay. So I asked him to cut back on his game time so that we can have more time to hang out together. I also mentioned not gaming when I'm ready for bed around 10 to 11 p.m. He got upset because he thinks I'm taking away his game time. He has cut back tremendously since his working hours are longer than usual. So that's that one, the video games.
Well, okay, so let's address all of that.
Okay.
Put the gaming system in a different room. Oh, they're roommates.
They live in his family's house.
Okay, so he can't even take it to another room.
No.
So he needs to just play it on silent without a headset on. If he wants to play after she goes to bed. You go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. I'm up till 2 in the morning. It works. And if I had internet at the house, I'd fucking play video games in bed.
Yeah.
You would never know because I wouldn't be like, kill that motherfucker.
Right.
I'd be playing zombies.
I would prefer it.
You might hear.
Right. I'd be snuggled up to your thigh or something.
Right?
As long as you're there with me at bedtime, I don't care.
The other thing is she just said he's working long hours.
Right.
So his game time, which is something he uses to decompress or escape, whatever. Either one, could be either.
Well, yeah, him and his girlfriend are living in his parents' house.
Right. So they're pretty much living in a bedroom.
Yeah.
Right? That sucks in general.
It does.
So he uses that as decompression time. And if she's got more time off of work than him and she's playing on her phone, watching TV, catching up on shows, hanging out at Hobby Lobby, going to Starbucks, getting her self-care.
It doesn't say she works, so we don't know.
So she may not be doing
anything.
During the day. Right.
Yeah.
She could be doing all of her life shit while he's working.
Or just hanging out in the room that they have.
Right. So where does his decompression come in? If he's working extra hours and he's not allowed to play video games.
Now what?
Now what?
I view it as cruel to force you to go to bed the same time that I do. That's why I pre-game sleep on the couch. There was a stint of time within our relationship where we were both going to bed at like 8 o'clock at night, but we were getting up at like 5 a.m. before we both injured ourselves for working out and whatnot.
Yeah, it was before I tore my titty.
Yeah. But now I can stay up until about 10. Sometimes midnight if I'm feeling it. But I view it as cruel to go, all right, babe, it's 9:30 at night. I'm ready to go to bed. You need to stop doing whatever you're doing. I don't care if you're tired or not. You can be bored in bed watching something as I sleep because that makes me comfortable. That just seems manipulative.
I agree. So this is the answer to that, right? Mm-hmm. The answer to that would be that he needs to find something he can play in silence.
Right.
If he's playing games where he's got to be mic'd up yelling at the boys, like that's a problem.
Get a little Nintendo DS.
Yeah, do something to kill time. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is if he has a group of friends that he plays with and that's his social time.
Oh, yeah, that would be it.
You know, because that creates a whole different level of problems. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's as far as I'm going with that one.
Okay. Next bullet point.
Yep.
Liking/looking at other women's pictures on Instagram.
That's a problem.
I agree that is a problem. I found him liking other women's pictures that are completely different from what I look like.
All right.
So what if they looked like you? Would that be okay?
A good question, babe. That was good. What if it was a female gamer who bought a new computer setup or a new scuff controller? Mm-hmm. They always get done up before they go live on Twitch, and she's holding her scuff controller to show off her new toy.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
Are you asking me?
Well, yeah, sure. I meant more for them, but
Oh.
Because now they have a shared hobby. She got a new scuff controller. She's one of my favorite streamers. Like,
Well, why is she one of your favorite streamers?
what if it was a picture of you with one of your plants? Because you know you're not posting scandally class photos on the internet, but it's you. I mean,
yeah.
I look at you every day. I fucking know what I got.
Right.
So if some other dude was like, damn, tap, tap, heart.
But if I'm posting a photo of me and my plant, it's something goofy.
And?
Like, when I think of a gamer chick posting a photo and what you just talked about,
You go
I'm
to the
viewing
uwu
like
chicks. I know.
cleavage out.
I do too. That's why I changed my...
Right. Because that's a provocative thing, and that is
Right.
a lustful image in my opinion.
Right. Well, I found a female gamer who plays on... she posts TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And she's fully dressed, just talking shit to men and fucking stomping them at Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks shit to them. It's entertaining to me. It's not sexual.
Right.
And I like some of the videos. I've even shared some of them because the shit's funny to me. Mainly to Discord.
Yeah.
Because Jenna gets shit on every time she gets into a lobby by dudes.
Because she's a chick.
It is.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to post it and be like, this is what you need to do. Talk shit to him. Like,
Right.
So one of the guys in there was like, make me a sandwich. And she's like, I'm gonna make you a fucking sandwich. And she murdered the entire team. And I'm like, yeah, you fucking make that sandwich, pussy.
Hell
like,
yeah. Fucking get it.
So that's where I was trying to go with that. And that analogy really didn't work. Because you're right. Most of those uwu fucking
Right.
streamer girls just show their tits to try to get fans.
So that would bother me.
Right. So what if it was a photo of you? Because you don't do that.
Right.
So does the content of the photo matter, or is it just that he's liking photos that a woman has posted?
Well, I think the intent behind the like matters. Right? If I'm showing off a photo of my plant, but that person's just focusing on how nice my smile is.
Well, how would you know that if they don't comment? They just
Right,
like
but
it.
that's a them thing, like internally. I would fucking tell on myself. If I'm on Instagram and I catch myself liking a dude's photos because I like how his face looks, that's a problem for me.
Right.
Because I'm not liking the content of the photo, I'm liking the person in the photo.
So
Right.
thirst trap is very different than an image that has context behind it.
Well, I wouldn't even say thirst trap.
I would. I mean that in terms of anything that is sexually to like be provocative for the other sex to enjoy.
No.
Okay.
Like, so say... I like looking at you. Like, I like looking at you.
Yeah.
And you catch me doing it, right? If there is a lull in our relationship and I start really like looking at another dude on Instagram and nothing is sexual and it's just, oh, he looks good in that t-shirt, I'm fucking telling on myself. Because even if the photo isn't sexualized, I am now sexualizing somebody in whatever context I am making up.
Right. That's fair.
And I would view that as a problem. So if he's liking a chick's photos because he is sexualizing her in his own mind, but that's not the context of the photos, that's still a problem.
Right. But we also don't know that. And we don't know
Right.
the context of the photos.
Right. I'm just saying my stance on that,
Yeah.
I suppose.
I think that when people send emails like this, they need to talk about what the photo is. Like,
Yeah.
if it's thirst trap, if it's for sexual attention, if it is somebody with their tits out, if it's somebody working out and he's a gym rat, whatever. Like, there are things that I like from both male and female creators that is based off of their content because I'm watching them for their content. I don't follow anyone because of their appearance.
I follow people because of their personality.
Yeah.
Like,
I follow people that I learn from.
yeah, well, that too. You're right. I do not follow anybody based on their appearance. I don't give a fuck what you look like. What kind of value can you add to my life, whether that be entertainment or knowledge, whatever it may be. If all you have to offer is your body, I'm uninterested. Why are you just looking at me like that?
Because I just had a Peaches moment where I went from 1 to 9.
Okay.
I agree with everything that you said. That was a very productive conversation, I feel.
Okay.
But then I started thinking about the things that I like to watch and the things that I like to look at on the internet. And like, I have a weird obsession with looking at bugs and frames right now on Instagram for some reason.
Okay. I would love to have a collection like that.
That's why I went down a rabbit hole and I reached out to the chick and tried to buy some of her pieces, and she only sells them at conventions, which sucks. But I did try because she's got really fucking crazy expensive, like nice big pieces. But I think that because I like some of her content now, I'm starting to see more of that on my feed. But I also like, you see the videos where people are doing like maintenance stuff and like people repair drywall real fast and it's smooth. Like it really fucking does it for my brain.
Yeah, I get
Or
that.
like there's like a stripped screw and somebody will put a wire in there and screw the screw in with the wire and it'll show that it's snug. That stupid shit does it for me. And
I watch that shit too.
That's what I watch. So you don't have to
watch
worry
that.
about me liking thirst traps, but you might like me double tapping some screws growing into wood with a wire or some shit. And I like watching people tie knots.
I get that.
So stupid. I gotta watch that.
Yeah. I watch crocheting videos. I watch plant videos. I'm on Book Talk. I watch people tap dance. I follow these Irish twins specifically who do Irish tap dances to modern songs. Yeah. I think that's pretty neat. I follow bagpipes, people who play bagpipes. I watch a lot of like different cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can never remember content creators' names. I'm learning things from like women who wear burqas and people in Sweden and Chinese culture. It's dope.
Diversified.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the email because otherwise we could do this all night.
Yep.
And I think that they really wanted an email tonight.
I asked him to unfollow them and respect those boundaries. He stopped doing that, but I genuinely feel like he still looks at them. But you said he stopped. So your feelings are your problem when his actions show that he stopped it. I got nothing for you on that one. He stopped.
Well, he may have unfollowed. He could still be looking.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about that.
So at that point, what are you willing to tolerate within your relationship? All right, next bullet point.
Before you move on to the next bullet point, I would like to point out that they are living with his family.
They are.
Which means she cannot afford to live on her own.
Right.
Because if she could, they would have moved out of there. So this already is telling me that they are dependent on each other for existence.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next one is corn. I was feeling really insecure and decided to look through his phone. Ladies, I was that person who would look through phones, and I hurt my own feelings every single time.
You will every single time.
And yes, I caught exes doing shit, but my gut feeling was right. I already knew. I just hurt my own feelings getting the confirmation. If you feel like you need to go through your partner's phone, you need to end the relationship. Or you need to have a conversation. And if a conversation can't be had, end the relationship.
Yeah, it's proven that if you go looking for something, any type, not even necessarily looking through the phone, but if you go into something with a predetermined outcome, it doesn't matter what the situation is, that outcome is going to be there because you went in with that predetermined outcome. You were going to make that be a thing.
You're already a raw nerve looking at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're looking for things to take out of context because you want that outcome. You went into it knowing that's the way it's going to be. So your brain makes it the way it's going to be.
Fills in the blanks.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw inappropriate searches of specific women in his browser history. We had a very big fight about it. I apologize for invading his privacy, but I don't condone corn whatsoever. He got upset because it was a boundary that we have never talked about, so he assumed it was automatically okay to watch. Well, I would because there was no conversation about it. It's how I've lived my life since I hit puberty. Like,
yeah, well, what makes you think that I'm going to just stop doing that because we're in a relationship? You never talked to me about it. Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that. Those conversations need to be had. Absolutely.
Yep. So I would not pick a fight about that. All right. Say so she's wrong for snooping through the phone. It should have been a conversation. But me putting myself in that perspective now with my knowledge, I go through the phone and I find that it would be a conversation of, hey, I went through your phone. I acknowledge I was wrong for doing this. I made myself feel like shit and I noticed that you watch corn. Can we have a conversation about that? Because I should have told you that I'm not okay with it and I didn't, and now I'm fucked up. So I'm trying really hard not to be mad at you right now. So let's figure this out. Right? I'm trying to be in an emotional mindset and convey all of that without trying to blame the dude for watching the corn because the conversation hasn't happened already.
I don't know how I would approach that conversation.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. If that was the thing and it was something that bothered me, and I can't say if it would bother me or not, because part of me wants to be like, I'd be mad that she took away the ability for me to fulfill that need. But there's also that part of me that goes, okay, am I not enough?
Yeah.
Like, why is this a thing? Like, is my sex drive not good enough? Like, is the dick not being laid the way that it needs to be laid? Like, what the fuck is happening right now? But I think that the conversation when I broach the subject would be like, is there something that you need that I am not fulfilling? And have we talked about it? Because if you had some weird thing that you wanted and I thought it was super fucking weird or gross and I wasn't even willing to try it, that's a conversation that needs to be had. But if it was one of those things where maybe homeboy has a sensitivity issue and like his woman's not being satisfied or she's having to fake it all the time and just make sure that she's the person that gets to the end for herself. There are ways to correct that problem. And I think those conversations need to be had. Maybe they need to start shopping in adult stores and trying to figure out how to spice things up to make that not a thing anymore. And I think that's in that situation. If I was put in that situation, I think that's probably how I would approach the situation.
Yeah.
And then if it continued after that point, then I would know that there's obviously nothing more that I can do. And then there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had. That I think that being in that situation would be hard. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong that she got upset with him and not been a predetermined expectation. This is why we tell you guys to fucking lay it all on the line.
Right. Continue on.
Sure.
He says he doesn't watch it, but when he takes very long showers or number twos, sometimes I feel like that's what he's doing. Next bullet point, smoking. He's been smoking for 12 plus years.
Which means he was smoking when you met him.
Right. They've only been together for 2 years.
Right.
Right.
So you can just get the fuck over that.
Yeah. I understand this is part of his routine, but I told him to cut back to better his health. Oh, so just because you said so.
No, this is control. All of this is
All of
control.
this
We
is,
established
yeah.
that in the very beginning.
He said he's never going to stop, but he decided to take a break. Yes, I admit to a certain extent I am controlling.
Oh, there you go.
For which I've apologized and told him I will work on it. If you and I got together and you were a smoker, we could be together for 10 years and I've been like, babe, I want you to stop smoking. I would imagine you would laugh in my face and say no.
Well,
Right?
it depends on the reason why, right? Like, because I'm not a smoker. And if I
Right.
started dating somebody who was a smoker, I would want them to quit. But I wouldn't be telling them it's for their health.
Right.
If I'm wanting somebody to quit smoking, it's because it stinks.
Right. Selfish.
I don't want that shit in the house. Like, I don't want ashes on my fucking clothes. I don't want you to drop your cigarette and burn my shit. Like,
Yeah.
there's but I would push for that, but I'm not going to be demanding that you fucking quit. Like, you don't get that. You don't get to make somebody do something. That is controlling. Who the fuck do you think you are? So
He hates change, and many things I've asked him to cut back on or stop completely, he gets very defensive, which gets me upset also. Right, because you're trying to control him.
yeah, can you say it again? Because I think that what you just said and what Jenny just said is the same thing.
He hates change, and many things I've asked him to cut back on or stop completely, he gets very defensive, which gets me upset also.
Yeah.
Okay. He's cut back on the game, no longer likes women's pictures on IG, and says he no longer watches porn, but it's tough to trust his word. I see those changes, and I tell him I see the changes he's made. But lately, he's been sneaking around with smoking. And when I called him out on it, he lied and said no. After multiple times of asking, he still said no. I finally told him that I knew and didn't understand why he's lying. He mentioned he feels like he needs to lie to me or I'll start controlling him again and start an argument.
There you go.
That's the truth.
He fucking told you.
Yeah.
She needs to go. This is so fucking petty to me.
Yeah.
She's there because she has nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that if she started looking elsewhere, she could probably find another man to support her and take care of her and let her live there. because it's really easy for a woman to do.
It is.
This is stupid.
This is, yeah.
And it is control. You do what I want you to do, or we're going to have a fucking problem. Of course he's going to lie to you about it.
Yeah. It's like, why would a child tell this truth if you're just going to spank them for it?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe in trouble either way. Well, I might as well try to get out of this shit.
Yep. He also mentioned he lied to me about not smoking just to avoid confrontation. It bothers me because all I want is his honesty. Well, he was just honest. He just said that he lies because you are controlling and you create arguments when you don't get what you want. And he wants to avoid confrontation.
Right. She didn't want to hear that though. That's not a reason for her because it doesn't scratch the itch that she has.
Gotcha.
This is people are not communicating.
Yeah.
He fucking told her exactly what was going on. It was very direct. I just don't get it. Fuck you mean you don't get it? I just said it to you. You want it in Chinese? Like, what the fuck, man?
Right.
I would never do that to you. Oh, really? Then why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we received an email from somebody that said, like, from his point of view of, like, I've been with this woman for 2 years. These were all of the issues that we had, and this is what I've done to fix the situation. So she had a problem with my video game, saying that we weren't spending enough time together. I work 14-hour days, including a 2-hour commute. I get home and I play video games until 10 p.m. I've stopped playing at 8 p.m. now.
Yeah.
Cut back on that. That's still an issue, so now I'm just going to stop gaming. She asked me to stop looking at other women on Instagram, and after I heard her out, I agreed that it was a problem, so I've stopped doing that. She found out that I was watching porn, and even though we never had a conversation about it, I agreed to preserve her feelings that I would stop doing that. And with all of the changes that I've made, another thing that she's upset with is my smoking, which I've been doing for over a decade. At this point, I feel like everything that I do is not good enough because even though my actions have changed, she still doesn't trust me.
Right. And the things that I'm doing that she's asking me is still not enough.
Yeah. If a woman said that hypothetical email, oh, well, your boyfriend's a narcissist.
Yep.
Okay. That was a really long trail to get to the end of that thought, but I'm glad you guys stuck with me. Back into the email. Lately, our arguments have been about me not trusting him. I believe it's mainly because of the corn. It's turned into this constant cycle that I've had a tough time trying to let go. Every other time that I've had a problem, yes, I do get upset. But I'm upset at the fact that I just want him to better himself.
No, you want him to do what you want him to do.
Right. This is that masking and I'm trying to be a good person and let me help you. You're being manipulative and you're being selfish.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with asking somebody to do these things. Mm-hmm. The how you ask and the way that you try to get them to do it is where the problem comes in. If you were doing something that I didn't like and I was like, hey, I don't like that shit, and you continued to do it, I'd be like, okay, noted.
Right.
I don't matter in this, right? Or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you
stop...
Well,
I think that gentle reminder should happen.
Well, it depends on what it is.
Right.
You know, the smoking thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, the video game. He's doing things to appease her.
Yep.
Whether he wants to do them or not. I'm willing to bet he would much rather play video games than hear her fucking complain about shit.
And smoke.
This really does comes down to like escapism.
It does.
And in his situation, the smoking and the porn and the fucking video games is a valid escapism. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to fucking hear somebody trying to tell me what to fucking do all the time.
Right. On top of and living in my parents' house.
Yeah.
So I already don't get a say in what
right
80% of my life is. Yeah. Back into the email. But me being so passionate and not so trusting, he feels as if I'm controlling him. Like I'm the parent and he's the child.
With me being so passionate. Read that again? With me being so passionate.
And not so trusting, he feels as if I'm controlling him.
Yeah. Your trust is a you problem. Mm-hmm. And if you need somebody that's going to submit and do everything that you want them to do or has a certain set of needs that you need checked off and he's not it, you don't get to change him into being that.
Right.
You need to find somebody who already checks those boxes. Mm-hmm. This is why you write a list of your non-negotiables. I don't
Right.
want to date a smoker. No smoking. Don't want to date a gamer. No gaming.
Yeah. And it's not on somebody else to change who they are to make you happy.
Right. Well, what happens if he does change who he is? Then what?
Well, he already is.
Right. But what if he completely changed who he was?
Oh, I bet she would find something else to nitpick.
Right.
You're no longer happy. You don't smile anymore.
Right.
Why don't we have fun?
Right.
Well, you stopped smoking and you cut back on video games.
You gained some weight. You've gotten fat now.
Yeah.
Thanks. Right.
We don't have any intimacy.
Yeah.
There will always be something.
Yep. And then he will be fucking miserable. And she will still be miserable because she's trying to turn somebody into someone they're not.
Right. People will do this thing where they will badger somebody until they get what they want, like the not smoking and the not video games and the not watching the corn and all those kinds of things. And then once they finally get what they want, well, why are you so upset all the time?
Yeah.
Why are you so miserable? Why can't things be like they were when we started dating?
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely try not to be controlling, but I see us as a partnership. So if I see him lacking, then I speak up. Besides the things I've listed, he genuinely is a great person and we see each other spending the rest of our lives together. But this seems to be a big hurdle for us to overcome at this time. Thank you.
I'm curious as to what she meant by the if I see him lacking, I'm going to say something, because there's a difference between picking your person up when they're down and going through it and trying to make them do what the fuck you want them to do.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out that if I was that dude, I wouldn't be trying to spend the rest of my life like that.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
So no. Yep. We got a super chat a second ago.
Ooh, we got a super chat. Hello there.
That said, I have been listening to the podcast since January. It's helped me take accountability for the problems in my last relationship and start working on myself.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much. You can only that's all you can do. You can only take accountability for yourself. The things that other people did in your relationships is not on you. It's not your problem. You can only control you. You can only change you.
Yeah.
This type of individual constantly seeks control in a relationship due to not having control in their own life.
It's probably stemming from childhood.
It could be. She's definitely fucking mooching off of this dude, though, because she doesn't have the ability to take care of herself.
Right.
I would live in my fucking car before I lived with somebody else.
And their parents.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I would be a roommate before I lived in my car if somebody had a room to rent.
Yeah.
But I would need a room that has its own bathroom, because I'm not trying to share a bathroom with you, and I need to be able to just hide in that part of the house. I don't need a shared communal space. If I'm renting a room, I'm living in that bedroom. Good. This shit's fucking wild to me.
Yeah.
How do you function with a lack of sleep? Do you normally take a nap? Seems to be the only way I don't crash. I actually take power naps. Every day, 15 minutes. Sometimes a little bit longer, but 15 minutes is about it.
Yeah. Sometimes you take 45-minute naps.
That's when I'm super exhausted.
Yeah.
There have been days where I've taken 3-hour naps. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. For the most part, it's like 15, 20 minutes tops.
Yeah.
As soon as I fall asleep and I feel my body twitch, I wake up.
Yeah.
So it's 15, 20 minutes. But
roughly.
yeah, they call that, Dale Carnegie wrote a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he also wrote one called How to Reduce Stress. How to Reduce Stress and something else. I don't remember. I only read that book once. But that was one of the things that he talked about, that when you look at high-level executives who are fucking big deals that make $1 million, like business deals, all have a couch in their office.
Yeah.
And they all take power naps in the middle of the day because it keeps them fresh.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Heather said, or she is after a challenge, and once he complies, it scrolled, she will get bored and move on, leaving him to be a shell of who he once was, with an undefined path and a lack of confidence and motivation now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like a predator after prey.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When people send emails like that, I wonder if they ever just stop and go, okay, here are my shortcomings, because I just shit on this person. I just literally laid out everything that they're doing wrong from my standpoint. I've got to have some sort of flaws. Where can I improve? Right? Because You can't make people do things that you don't want them to do. And if he doesn't want to quit smoking or stop watching porn or playing video games, you can't force that.
Right, now what?
Now what? This falls back into what I said earlier. What's next? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Oh, man. Well, we have 20 minutes to kill.
You want to do another email?
Are we getting short ones? Maybe a thank you? Hello from Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. But it seems that most of the time when someone has something to complain about someone else, they are just projecting sometimes. Hey guys, I sent you a message on FB. Well, we didn't get it because we don't check messages on Facebook.
Yeah, we do not do private DMs.
Yep. You can send an email though. How do you guys choose the emails you read? We have 2 screeners that we refer to as the wizards. And they screen emails and put them in certain folders, and then we decide to go through and read them based off of how we feel.
I am not seeing any short emails.
No? Well, you hit a thank you.
Well, the one that I found was 7 pages.
Oh. Well, if we're not really going to be talking about it, you can just read through it real quick.
Okay.
The email is tobebetterco@gmail.com.
All right, so this one is titled Patreon, Thank You So Very Much. Dear Chris and Peach, I feel like there are no words to express just how thankful I am to have found y'all. I wanted to write an email so many times over the 9-ish months that I've been watching y'all's podcast/content, but it's never truly felt right, and I think I know why. Each time I thought I'm going to write them an email, I stopped, and I think it's because I was never meant to. I was meant to just sit back, listen, and absorb so that I could reflect. Now that I have time to do so, I am writing this to say thank you. There's some other context in here about what was going on and how we overcame it. Ended up being quite a bit of context. To start, my husband is 29 and I'm 28. We've been together almost 11 years. We'll be 11 in November. And just celebrated 6 years married at the beginning of September. He's a crane mechanic working on tower cranes mainly, but also well pads and other crane-related things his boss needs him for, which also includes when his boss needs him. He's on call 1 week in a month usually, but if he gets a call any other time, even in the middle of the night, he heads out. I've been a stay-at-home mom/wife since I was pregnant with our son, and before I was working as a CNA full-time while going to college full-time to become a nurse.
I know I said I wasn't going to stop you. I want to address that real quick. That being on call, tow truck drivers, EMTs, firefighters, whatever, police officers, anybody that works on an on-call situation, I understand that that's hard for the people who are living with those people, but it fucking sucks for the people that are doing those jobs, and they're doing it to provide a living.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that you should be grateful that they're working to provide and not have like any type of bitterness towards. Right. That comes down to an understanding, right? Like I know they don't want to do this shit. Nobody wants to fucking wake up at 2:30 in the morning and go help their fucking boss.
Yeah.
So that was all.
I ultimately dropped out because I couldn't handle it, and it was my goal to be a stay-at-home mom, which my husband was on board with. One thing I wasn't sure if I wanted to add or not, because it's just silly, but it really encapsulates my husband and I's relationship, is our wedding bands are engraved with funny sayings. His says, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" from SpongeBob, and mine says, "Do you know the Muffin Man from Shrek?"
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man! Who lives on Drury Lane? Oh gosh, I love Shrek. The first Shrek will always be my favorite Shrek. I ultimately wanted to include this bit because having that was meant to be a reminder of our love for each other and how we could be our weird selves together without judgment, yet we still ended up falling from that. It's so crazy that they went from getting their wedding bands engraved with their secret little quirky love jokes, and then it all just fell apart and they were fucking going through it.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Darth Cinderin is fucking holding down the fort in the chat, and he replied to somebody's comment. Oh, how do we do the Zoom calls with you guys? That's I was trying to figure out what they were talking about.
Not the gun drop buttons.
Devin, in order to get into the Discord, you have to join our Patreon at the $15 tier. And then you send your email in. Make sure that you leave out any trauma dumping, no DV, SA, or child abuse. The screeners will read it. They'll reach out to you, and then the Zoom call will happen if it fits the format. That was it.
Okay.
I'm trying to multitask everything.
Okay. I was in such an awful place after my husband and I had our first kiddo. The first 2 weeks were like I was floating on cloud 9, and then I got hit by the postpartum trifecta: postpartum depression, anxiety, and OCD. Mine manifests more as intrusive thoughts about horrific things happening to our kids and not so much germs. It really hit me like a ton of bricks, and also brought to the light how weak my husband's and I's foundation was, because we crumbled as a unit also. I thought we were strong and we were going to conquer the world. I was so blind, some of that subconscious and some I purposefully shoved out of the mind and ignored. To what our relationship's foundation was built on and how weak it really was, because I hated, and still do to an extent, conflict, and we had no idea how to properly communicate.
I'm listening and learn how to properly communicate.
Okay. When our son was around 4 months old, it felt like I was easing up and we were good again. But I would soon find out it definitely wasn't okay. In that period of time, my husband and I decided it would be a great idea to have a second baby so they would be close together. I got pregnant again when our son was 6 months old, and it was awful. Please don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore our baby girl, and I absolutely would do it all again because she was all worth it. It just really solidified for me that I could never be pregnant again because my pregnancies are absolutely brutal, as well as all the postpartum crap. I truly could never have guessed how hard it was going to be for me, but also how much I was going to let it affect me, wallow in it, and not get help. Part of not getting help was because I was scared. I didn't want to tell the extent of how I was feeling to a doctor or a therapist because I thought that I would lose our son, and then after our daughter was born, I would lose her as well. I did end up getting help a bit after our daughter was born because I'd hit a point where it was way too much, but it never felt like it was actually helping. Probably because I wasn't truly being honest with how bad it was with anyone, including my husband, because anytime I tried, he just didn't understand how to be there for me, nor did I know how to explain how to be there for me. We had our son in August of 2019, and our daughter was born November of 2020. They are a few days shy of being exactly 15 months apart. I just got over most of the postpartum BS this year, and it took so much work. During that whole time, I grew extremely resentful towards my husband, and we grew apart. He became the villain in my life, and I do use that word intentionally.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
God, I couldn't imagine living like that.
Everything I was going through.
I can't imagine living like that. I've lived like that. But having what I have now and knowing how easy it is to maintain a healthier relationship, I couldn't imagine going back to that.
Right.
So when I hear people living through this now, like, this isn't difficult.
No.
It really is not fucking hard. You just have to learn how to talk to each other. And once the communication's flowing, this shit's fucking easy. Mm-hmm. So when I hear this shit, I'm like, dude, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks.
It does.
And this is a thank you email.
It is. Everything I was going through was his fault in my mind, on top of the woe is me mindset, because my childhood was much less than ideal. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, And I really let that dictate my life, along with my depression and anxiety, as well as my ADHD that I was diagnosed with once I got help after having our daughter.
Falls all back into the beginning of the episode.
Yep. Bottom line, I was very good at not taking accountability for my bits. I complained to friends about my husband, and the negativity bias only grew and fueled my strong dislike for him. I was even watching YouTube videos about how to know your relationship is over and felt like it fit your situation. It had gotten really bad. She Googled how to tell when your relationship is gone. I went a million miles a minute just now because when I was 12, 13 years old, I was Googling shit like that because I didn't feel comfortable going to my parents. A vast majority of us really are just stunted adults living in the emotional mindset of whenever we were hurt. She Googled how to know when your relationship's over. If you had a solid person in your life, they would be able to tell you, right? Somebody who had the wisdom and the knowledge. This is why I miss having elders. I never got to experience, but humanity did at some point.
You realize that that's what we are to people now, right?
Elders?
Look at the email that we're reading right now.
Oh my God, I'm an elder. I need to process that for a second. Holy shit.
All right. Well, while you pull that up, I want to answer that because somebody's asking what trauma dumping is in emails. So that they don't send an email that's full of trauma dumping. To me, trauma dumping is sending a really long fucking email about a whole bunch of shit that happened 10 years ago, that then happened again, 5 years ago, that happened 3 years ago, 2 years ago, is currently happening now because you haven't learned from any of it. If you're sending an email and all you want to do is vent, just send it to yourself. Type the shit up and delete it. Like, that's not going to help us. If you were SA'd, you can simply say, when I was 15, I was SA'd and moved on. We don't need the details of that.
Right.
At all. I was abused as a child. Okay, got it. Don't need the details. If you are in a relationship and your relationship is not going well because you're failing to communicate and there's cheating happening or there's screaming and yelling, there's really bad arguments, that matters. Because you're in that right now. It's happening. These are things that are currently going on in your life, and this is where you need the advice. However, we need the details of those situations. If you are arguing with your person, we need to know what you're arguing about. Not just the topic. We need to know what was said, how they responded, their body language, your body language. The more information that you can give us to make us a fly on the wall during that argument, the better the information that we're going to be able to give you back is going to be.
Yeah.
You guys are giving us a pinprick of light of your life into a dark room that we get to see. Mm-hmm. You guys have all that the light behind that pinprick, and the only thing that's coming through that we see is what you show us. So if you're showing us tons of trauma and nonsense, that doesn't help all the shit that's going on back there that you need to work through now.
Right.
So that's when I say trauma dumping. That's what I mean personally. I don't want to deal with shit that you've been working on since you were fucking 12 and you're 30 now. That's not, you should have figured that shit out by now. Mm-hmm. You should have been in therapy. Like, you should have been doing self-help books, YouTube, something to like fix that shit.
Right.
Your marriage is something that you're currently going through. You're living that every single day. This is what you need to be working on. Mm-hmm. That's where we come in. So
Janae also said that any sexually explicit emails will be rejected. We are not sex therapists.
Yeah.
We are not here to tell you guys how to have sex with your partner.
Darcindran, thank you. We're good. We're good. Jasmine said you guys do fundraisers or for anything. I don't know what you're asking me. If you're trying to like donate to us, well, you can do that through our website, but any donations that we do on our own. But we do a lot. We give probably more than we should, but anyways.
Back to the email?
Yes, please.
All of this came to a head not too long after our daughter was born, and I talked to my husband about a divorce. He, of course, wasn't for it. Neither of us were great to each other during all of this. Both of us did and said things that we didn't truly mean. Neither of us cheated or anything like that, just to clarify. I felt like he was never there for me due to his job, as well as not being emotionally available. Looking back on all of that, I wouldn't have been emotionally available if I were with him how I treated him either. What? I wouldn't have
She
been.
realized she was the problem. She was making it
Gotcha.
so that he was not emotionally available to her.
Okay.
That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And I was right about the job thing. I didn't think that that's what she was getting at. I was just trying to make a point. But I was right. She was mad that he was working a job to fucking sustain them.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to be with somebody that's providing a life that you want and they're killing themselves to fucking give it to you? Because that's what men are supposed to do. We're supposed to fucking provide, and you're bitter about it.
Right.
You want some fucking bum ass motherfucker that don't work, that collects, welfare and fucking doesn't provide for you at all, and you're fucking eating ramen noodles and pizza rolls on a good night, like a McDonald's is a fucking date because it's all you can afford. Fuck out of here with that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get. Anyways.
I was awful, and I'm not proud of how I treated him. I'm surprised he wasn't the one to bring up divorce. The mindset I had was further solidified for me when our son was showing signs of autism. He was in early intervention from around 15-ish months old, and I was researching like a mad lady so I could figure out how to best support him, and found he fit the criteria for autism to the T.
Are you hung up on that too? Because I'm really hung up on that.
Yeah, the self-diagnosing?
No, the
Or
beginning part.
Of what?
He was the one that brought up divorce, and then she said,
No, she was surprised he wasn't the one to bring up
wasn't.
divorce.
Okay, what was the thing after that though?
The mindset I had was further solidified for me when our son was showing signs of autism.
Why? What was solidified?
It says right here, the next sentence. When I brought it up to my husband, he was very dismissive and refused to even let me discuss it with him. So he was emotionally unavailable and was just like, this isn't important to me.
Okay.
I truly felt alone and helpless in it all, because I just wanted him to listen and try to understand everything I'd been through postpartum, and then finding out our son could be autistic. I was scared because all you hear about is the stereotypes, and autism is made to look like it's the end of the world.
But it wasn't diagnosed yet. She was freaking out, not sure.
Right.
This is writing checks for paying a debt you don't know yet.
Right.
I would really like to ask questions to him about that whole situation, but I guess it's not even really relevant because this is a thank you email.
Okay. I also was so busy wallowing in my BS that I didn't stop to think about all that he was dealing with. Neither of us knew how to communicate properly through our whole relationship, and that only worsened after having our babies. We tried couples therapy for a while, after a lot of trying to convince him, and it helped for a bit, but ultimately we both fell back into how things were. I researched for about 2 years, and was finally able to get our son evaluated in February of this year. He was diagnosed. Even after that, my husband didn't want to listen to me. It took a while to get him to open up about why. To be fair, I kept trying to bring it up and force him to listen when I hadn't given him time to process. I wanted him to listen when I wanted and not when he was ready to talk about it, any of it. When we did have a conversation, he told me he didn't know how to cope with it because he just wants our son to be okay, and it's been very hard on him because he loves our son and doesn't want him to have a hard time. This brought up a lot of emotion in me then, and is again now cause... What? This brought up a lot of emotion in me then, and is again now cause from the time of our son being born. What? To that moment, it felt like my husband was almost emotionless. But in reality, he was just trying to shove it all away to be strong for me, and didn't know how to show that while still showing up to support me.
Okay, I have to pause. Hang on.
Okay.
So all the shit that I get on the internet, every single time I make a video where I talk about being able to be open emotionally with your woman and have conversations, this is the shit that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This could have destroyed their marriage. Like, hands down, him bottling that shit up, trying to be the strong motherfucker in that moment could have absolutely destroyed their marriage because she felt so disconnected from him. Mm-hmm. If you are going to marry someone and fucking breed with them, and you don't think that you can have an open, honest, emotional conversation with them, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?
Right.
That's all I got.
Okay. I started crying and said he is okay. He just sees and experiences the world differently And sure, it's going to be hard sometimes, but the most important thing is that we know how to support him and do our best. Our son is completely nonverbal, so it's hard to communicate and know what he wants/needs sometimes, so I understand where my husband was coming from. We actually got approved to get him an iPad with an AAC app on it to help him communicate, and he's been trialing one at school and doing really well. On top of all of that, with all of my research, I found that I may fit the criteria as well, so I'm sure all of these things at once being shoved towards him was extremely overwhelming. I didn't want to acknowledge his overwhelm, because, well, look at mine, it's so much more than his. When that just wasn't true. It was a very hard season for both of us that just felt like it would never end. To wrap this up, because it's getting longer than I anticipated, when I found y'all's content, it was a catalyst for me to finally being able to see through my own bullshit so that I could become the wife, mother, and woman I've always wanted to be. With my life experiences being the way they were, I knew I had to and desperately wanted to be the best I could from a very young age for my future husband and children, as well as for myself. I just didn't know how to get there. After having our son was the first catalyst in making me realize all the things about our marriage. However, I was still stuck in the victim mindset. Y'all have opened my eyes to so much, and now my husband and I are the best that we've ever been. I reached a point where I just couldn't do it anymore, and even when I was seriously contemplating divorce, I still had this feeling like it was the wrong choice. That feeling of not being able to do it anymore was there because I knew deep down a good bit of it was my fault and my actions. Once I started really implementing things I learned from y'all and becoming a better version of myself, my husband noticed and he followed. Things that helped me most was taking accountability, shocker, submitting to my husband the way I had in the beginning, and even more than then, giving him and myself grace, implementing self-care, and watching Chris's For Men videos and realizing my husband does a lot of those things he should, and talking to him about things I felt he could improve on, as well as Peaches' list for women, and realizing where I needed to do better.
We just got a new booking for Thailand.
Did we? Shut up.
I'm so fucking excited over all that shit. I can't fucking
We need one
wait
more
to go.
person, right?
I believe
to
so.
solidify it?
Yeah, one or two. We're one or two. We're so fucking close, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I want you to finish this because I want to say something to the emailer. They're actually in the chat right now.
Are they?
Yep.
We both have put in the work, and it wasn't going to get back to where we were. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was to be better than where we were. We're finally able to communicate things in the moment, and I've never felt so happy and blessed in my life. Things still get rough, as they do, and will continue to do, but we're so much better equipped to handle it. Another side note here, my therapist I've been working with since before I found y'all is blown away by not only how much I bring y'all's podcast up, but by how much it's helped in conjunction with things that she's recommended. Every time I wear one of y'all's shirts, she comments on it. My husband helped me open my own candle business this year, which has also been a dream of mine for quite some time because I'm obsessed with candles.
And you haven't sent us any? It's fucked up.
There's info down here for the
Okay.
candles.
Just saying.
Yeah. It's really helped my mental health and given me more, and has given me a more physical, creative outlet that I've absolutely fallen in love with. I would love so much to send you guys a couple of candles and other things I make if you want them. We do. I'll include my info below so you guys can check out my website and pick out what you want to try, or just let me know if there's any scent sensitivity / dislikes to specific scents, because I know Chris has a sensitive nose.
Yep.
Okay. Huh?
I said, yep.
Thank you guys so very much. Hearing your life experiences, advice for everyone in general, and the advice you give to other emailers has been incredibly valuable to me and has helped me in the right direction to continue growing into the person I want to be and can be proud of. It's been incredible to watch y'all grow and see the effect you've had on others' lives for the better.
So first of all, God bless you guys for fucking getting your shit together.
Right? Especially for the children.
You guys went from looking at this solely as a me versus him kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And now it sounds like you're working as a partnership because you realize that you're a team.
Yeah.
Your marriage is the priority. Like that comes in first place. Your individual needs come second to that. So does his.
Right.
So you both hold second place, which means you still have to work as a fucking team.
Mm-hmm.
Your inability to communicate what was going on almost destroyed you guys.
Yeah.
And I hope to God that he's listening and fucking hears me, bro. You have to communicate with your woman. And if you're afraid she's going to throw it back in your face and you can't be vulnerable, then you got somebody with a shitty personality.
Mm-hmm.
And ma'am, if that's who you are, because I don't want to say your name on the podcast, but if that's who you are and that's the way you've acted, you need to correct that behavior.
Yeah.
You guys are not going to thrive if you are unable to properly tell each other what's going on in the moment. Sometimes that looks like I'm processing. When I'm able to talk to you about this, I will. But if he would have never come out and talked to you about it after things got processed and he didn't feel emotionally safe with you, you guys would have ended up divorced.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are doing this as a fucking team, dude. That's amazing. I love that you guys figured this shit out. I that's the whole point of all of this. It really is. And I'm glad that you didn't send that first email in. There was no need for it. You figured shit out. This is also why I say all the time that people that listen that can relate to what we're talking about with their life can make changes because they don't feel like we're attacking them. They don't feel like it's us calling them on their bullshit. They can pull it on their own and be like, oh, damn, I'm a fucking problem. Like, that's a whole lot different. Have that self-realization to have somebody like, yo, you're the fucking problem. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so we're going to wrap it up. We got 15 minutes. We're going to take a quick little break, bathroom break, chilly chill for a minute, let's reset all this bullshit, and then we will be live for the Patreon. We are just going to bullshit with you guys for a little bit. We are not doing email reads, no Zoom calls tonight. I did invite the $10 tier in, and the YouTube live stream people will be able to view that one as well. So,
Okay.
anything you want to add, Hotness?
No.
Butamus Maximus, Mrs. Burkett.
No,
good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, guys, we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good night, guys.